I've got a few TaleSpire videos planned coming up. I had taken a break from running most of my games and making videos so that I could finish working on my book. The Empire of Arden, it's a steampunk setting guide for D&D, plug. It's $0 or pay what you want. You can get it at my Ko-fi, you can get it here. I love you nerds. Now this one might turn into a short series about the symbiote additions to the game because there's a lot of them and they're all very cool. Specifically this time, I want to talk about one of the modelers that makes a lot of the minis that you see in the Symbiote mini editions. Ever since I started using TaleSpire back before symbiotes were even added, there was a screen name that I was seeing everywhere. It felt like half or more of the modded minis in the early parts of the game were made by the same guy. The original STL models were all made by MZ4250. Or, for the Americans, MZ4250. Over and over again, I'd see this name, MZ4250, MZ4250, MZ4250. So I looked him up, and the guy works like a fucking madman. He's got a really likable, simplistic style that works extremely well in TaleSpire alongside the minis in the base game without standing out too much. And no shade to the anime nerds, I love these too, and no shade to this pickle dude's choices. He also releases everything he makes for free and is supported just by his Patreon, which is a choice that I totally dig. I'm going to link his Patreon down below. So I sent him a message and we had a chat. After the intro, we're going to jump right into it.
And cat.
So how did you get to how did you decide to start releasing everything for free, and was it like that from the beginning?
Yeah, it was always like this. I don't really want to sell things because that's just extra work, and I don't want to deal with extra work. Also, like, Wizards of the Coast made it very clear that I can't sell things based off of their artwork. And the things that I can sell, which, there's like, out of the 6,500 models that I made, half of them are totally commercial safe. I just don't really feel like it now. It's been 12 years. It's just, why would I start charging things now? So it's like, I just don't care. So I can't sell things that are clearly the IP of other entities, because the same rule applies for Kobold Press and, MCDM, Paizo, they all have the same rules. Please don't sell IP, but you can make whatever you want and make sure it's free. So that's one reason, and the other half is I just don't really feel like it.
And so you said 6,500 models?
Yeah, 6,500. Yeah.
That is insane. Everybody has days where they don't really feel like doing something, you feel like a down day, but I get notifications for your Patreon on my phone, and like at least a couple times a day, I'm like, oh, god damn it. Like, I am not doing enough in the world because this guy is constantly, producing. It's crazy. How do you get that, like, motivation? Because your work ethic is unbelievable.
Oh, well, so there is a small horde of goblins that live under my house. And if I don't create art, they come out at night and they will eat my liver. So I have to keep making art or else they'll come out at night and they'll eat my liver. And I really like my liver. And I know that livers grow back, but it still sucks, But yeah, goblins. That's the reason why. It's very sad, actually. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of built that way. I have a military background. I've served in our army for 21 years, and so I have a mindset of, just a methodical work ethic. And this is my job now. Like I said, I have just enough patrons to pay all the bills, so I make art for a living. So
That's very cool.
I use the methodical work ethic that I already have built in me, and get up every morning, work out for 2 hours, and then I sit down, or not sit, I stand all day, and make art. I make art, takes maybe 6 hours of the day, 8 hours of the day. If it's like a dragon or something, it might take multiple days to finish the project, but, I focus on the projects. If I can make 2 minis, maybe 3 minis a day, I'd consider that to be successful. Or one really, 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 really good one, and then that's it. Then just go hang out with my wife and chill out and go on adventures. So that's kind of it. It's pretty pretty chill.
So when you're making these all the models, what kind of programs do you use?
Yeah, sure. So I use Blender for my 3D modeling. And then after you model the object, I use Windows 3D Builder to inspect it for any errors. Because when you export an STL out of Blender, sometimes little 3D errors just show up that I can't really explain it. It's just geographic anomalies that just happen. It's just very strange. But Windows 3D Builder fixes it, and then after that, you run it through a slicing program. I use Prusa Slicer, so I can actually make sure that it is printable. I run that, and that's how I can tell if I can print it in FDM or if I can't print it in FDM. And then it's back to Blender to do any changes that need to be changed to make sure it's at least passable. And then the other program that I use is actually, no, those are the three core ones, yeah. And then I just print in whatever program I need for said printer. So for my FDM printer, I have a Prusa Mark IV. And for my resin printer, I currently have an Anycubic Mono 7 Pro. The resin ones are always changing. It seems like every couple of years, it's like, oh, this one died. I have to get another one. But so far, the Prusa has lasted the longest. It's a pretty good machine.
So I asked, do you DM your own games, or are you a player? And if so, which tabletop games?
I have been a forever DM for years until this year. I finally got to be a player again. So that was very exciting. But I've been a DM for the majority of my D&D playing since I was 6 years old. And I'm 43 now, so it's been playing D&D for a while. Played many campaigns, some homebrew stories, some based off of official settings, and some like actual campaigns from like books. So I've done a little bit of everything, but very rarely do I get to play a player. So it's very nice to have a nice little change of pace. And I'm playing a human paladin, which is very, very fun.
And you use all your own minis when you were running these games?
Yeah, when I'm the DM, I always print the things I need for my own games, and then show off the neat stuff, and it's fun. But as a player, I also print things as the DM needs them as well.
Do you have a favorite model, or like either an individual or a group of pieces that you've made?
I can't say that there's a specific model that's like my favorite, but the category that's my favorite are dragons for sure, because dragons are dope. And I always enjoy working on dragons. Everyone that I've 3D printed for my games has always been, pretty peak painting and modeling. And then when it comes to like just making the models, like for the 2025 Monster Manual, I focus on the dragons first, and each dragon was like a day of work, so that was definitely a lot of fun.
I guess with 6,500, there's almost certainly not going to be one that stands out, right? 12 years.
No, not really. I mean, I guess I could say I have a soft spot for maybe silver dragons. I mean, those are kind of my favorite dragons. So maybe silver dragons, but in the end, dragons in general are just great.
So when it comes to these games, how do you think that visual, specifically your minis being used for enemies and stuff, what effect or what changes do you think that those may have had in the way that people tell their stories in these games?
Well, I've thrived in both games that have minis and games that have theater of the mind. But I know that there are some folks that have the aphasia thing going on where they can't actually visualize things. I think that the minis have definitely been helpful for folks like that. Like for instance, one of my players in my current game has the aphasia situation. So if you describe an apple, they'll just see the word apple in front of them. But if there's a mini, then that's actually helpful. So I think that there's that instance right there. But ultimately, if it adds a little more engagement and a little more creative control in the game itself, then that makes me happy too.
For me, it's stuff when if I'm using specific minis, like let's say a bandit has a short bow and a short sword attack. If I'm using a mini that has like two shorter knives, then that's what I will have that bandit using in the combat. Just because like if that's the visual that's being depicted, and I say, okay, he pulls out his longbow or his short bow or his other item that you're looking at this thing that you can't see. So it changes not just the combat, but sort of like the narration for that encounter. And I think that goes all the way up to like enemies, where an enemy can be described one way through like theater of the mind. But if I'm using a mini in person or something really big on like TaleSpire, then I will like incorporate this mini's description into the narration. And I think that changes the story a lot more, especially if you're doing like a homebrew setting and using one of your, for you, maybe just like a one-off generic ogre you made one day, 7 or 8 years ago or whatever, that is now, something big because he had a cool rock on his club or something that, it got dragged into the story and turned into something much bigger than it was originally intended. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if it helps with the visual storytelling portion of the experience, and that's definitely useful.
Yeah, it's the same in battle maps for me. Like, I will pull battle maps from different people on Twitter or Patreon or whatever. Use those, but I have a general rule that like if you can see it, it's there. You know what I mean? So if there's like a knife on the floor, there's a knife on the floor, and yeah, you can pick it up. And so these things that other people have made end up changing my game a little bit, and I think that's kind of neat too. That like you're sort of reaching across the ether and just poking somebody with your, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you've had, without really knowing it, you've had an impact on like tens of thousands of people's games online. And that doesn't even count all the people who are printing your stuff to use in digital games. I think that's really cool, man. You have like changed the experience for a lot of players in very cool ways. So, and I just want to thank you for that. I think that's awesome. I think it's really neat.
Oh, thanks. I agree. I also think it's really neat. It wasn't really like my intention to lead to any broad changes in a TTRPG world. I just want folks to have the same creative freedom that I have. So, if they need a specific mini, they can just print it and move on.
That is awesome. So I'll have a link to where they can get your minis and to your Patreon in the description down there. But I don't want to take up any more of your time. I'm gonna edit this down probably to like less than 10 minutes. All right, that's the video. Thank you so much. If you made it this far, I love you. I'll see you next time. Bye. Subscribe for more TaleSpire or fantasy or whatever it is I do. I don't know what I do.